Today marks 2 years until the 2028 Olympics, and security planners say that the city still has plenty of time to get ready to protect the games. The LAPD says it will need, though, the help of thousands of additional officers from inside and outside of California to keep everything safe. NBC4 investigative reporter Eric Leonard has been following the developments here. He joins us live now with an update. Eric.
Hi, Jonathan. Well, the LAPD says in order to pull off what they have planned for 2028, they're relying on the state legislature to change the law, and that's to allow thousands of out-of-state police officers to temporarily work in Southern California for the games. The number of officers they expect to need here are staggering, but planners say local and state agencies always expected they would need this national help.
We knew all along when we were planning for the LA28 games that LAPD resources would not suffice.
Former LA City Councilman Joe Buscaino, who's been involved in the planning for major security events, says even when the LAPD was staffed with thousands more officers a decade ago and the Olympic bid was secured, there was never a moment when the department expected it could handle the Olympic security tasks alone.
When we're planning for the LA28 games, an event this size, millions of visitors, dozens of venues across the county, clearly, LAPD resources wouldn't suffice, hence the reason why it was needed to have a mutual aid effort of all levels of government.
The LAPD says it estimates it will need between 12 and 15,000 officers over 2 months to staff the 8 venues and other events within city limits. The commander planning all this says that breaks down to more than 6,000 officers on duty for each of the 66 days of the Olympic and Paralympic events.
On peak demand days, the LAPD will deploy approximately 6,700 officers across the various sites, of which we, the LAPD, can only provide 1/3 of that deployment, so roughly 2,200 officers per day. That leaves a staffing gap of approximately 4,400 officers per day.
In order to fill the gap, the state legislature is changing the law to allow officers from all over the U.S. to work in California temporarily for the games.
The bill will include express language to prioritize California officers, either retired officers in California or currently working in California officers.
But many of those agencies, like the LAPD, are short-staffed, which means out-of-state police are a certainty. LA Mayor Karen Bass's office sponsored this bill to begin that process now.
And that we take advantage of the lead time that we have to make preparations for proper force enhancement and crowd control and other needs through a very coordinated and directed fashion.
According to the bill, out-of-state officers will get streamlined training, temporary state certification to act as police officers that's only valid through the games or until the end of 2028. Some on the State Senate's Public Safety Committee said they have concerns.
Public safety officers in California understand what the standards are and they get training, but I'm a little nervous about bringing in out-of-state officers.
So there are some unresolved questions here about how to make sure the out-of-state officers follow California laws and the expectations of the public here. Outside of the city Olympic events, an equal number of officers will be needed for the rest of the Olympic venues around Southern California. So get this, bringing the total need to somewhere between 24 and 30,000 officers over the course of the 2028 games. Federal agencies also sending plenty of assistance. Congress has authorized about $1 billion to pay for all of this security around the games. Back to you guys in the studio.
Those numbers are staggering, Eric, when you think about it. Is there any talk now of additional training for these officers that may or may not be brought in?
Yeah, I think it's a certainty at this point. They're going to have to bring in a lot of officers, thousands of them from out of state, in order to meet the demands that these games present. They have to have some kind of training, because even if they're certified as police officers in other states, that means they know state law there, not here. And there are additional expectations about the conduct of police officers. That you're required to have a certificate from the state. It's effectively a license. So this is going to be an abbreviated version of that, building on what they know from their home states, giving them briefings on California law and expectations, and then sending them out to the games.
All right, our Eric Leonard, thank you for following this. We know there's more to come.
You got it.
All right, coming up at 6, someone very familiar with Los Angeles weighing in on the LA28 games. Former Mayor Eric Garcetti. He helped to bring the games to Los Angeles, and after spending 2.5 years in India, he expressed what he wants to see in 2028.
Well, I think 2028 should show Angelenos, ourselves, first and foremost, how much we love this place and what we can do when we put our mind to it.
And there's so much more. You can see the rest of that interview at 6, and our special coverage of LA28 and the 2-year countdown continues throughout the evening. For more information on volunteer applications and tickets, head to our website, NBCLA.com.